Hey everyone, this is Lindy from Love Create Celebrate, and if you guys haven't seen our office reveal yet, you must go check it out. It was amazing renovating this space, and I'm really excited today because I'm going to show you how we put up this awesome wall mural. So yes, this wall mural is wallpaper. We did not paint it. I am not that talented, but we put it up and it took less than 2 hours. It was super easy to do. We really love how it turned out, and it was the perfect addition to this space. Stay with us, check out how we did this wallpaper mural, and I really hope you guys like it.
The mural that I chose for our space was one called Pseudo Sage from Murals Wallpaper. It is a beautiful watercolor mural, and Murals Wallpaper provided this to me for our renovation. The first thing you'll have to do when you open your package is take out the panels, cut them apart, and then make sure that they're in the correct order. We just used some frog tape to put them up on the wall quickly, and then we moved the ones we needed to out of the way so we could start in the corner of the room. So before you get started, you'll need some pre-mixed wallpaper adhesive, some soft brushes to brush the wall after you adhere the wallpaper, and some foam brushes or rollers. You'll want your first wallpaper panel to go on in the corner. Our wallpaper panel had only about 5 inches on it, so we wanted to make ours about 4.5 inches from the corner to allow for any variation in the width of our wall. So if our wall was out a 1/4 inch at the top or the bottom, it wouldn't matter because we've given ourselves a little bit of extra room. Making sure that your first piece is perfectly straight is so important. We used a laser level for this, but you can also use a plumb bob to make a mark and draw a line on your wall before you put the wallpaper on. When we were ready to put the panel on, we first had put some wallpaper adhesive on the wall just using a foam roller. And then once it was in place and we were happy with the placement, it was lined up perfectly with our laser level. Then we used a squeegee to make sure that the piece was flat and get any bumps and lumps from the wallpaper adhesive out before we were ready to cut off the excess part of our panel. Because part of your design overlapped the corner in your space, you will have to cut off an excess piece of your wall mural. So what we did is we have one of these big flat edges. It's actually something we use for cutting into edges when we're painting, but we've also used it for wallpaper. We just put it tight against the corner and then use an X-Acto knife to cut off the excess wallpaper. Once your first panel is in place on the wall, your next panels should go in very easily. You start by putting your wallpaper paste on the wall all the way from the top to the bottom, but you don't want to go much past the width of the wallpaper panel. So you only want your paste to go as far as it needs to go for your next panel to be put in place. When you're putting the wallpaper adhesive on the wall, you can use a normal roller just like you would use for paint, or you could use a simple paintbrush. Our paintbrush was actually from the dollar store and it worked perfectly. When you're ready to put your panel up, the first thing is just to double check that your panels do not have an overlap. If they do have an overlap, you'll have to adjust how you're putting it up a little bit. I personally much prefer using panels that do not have the overlap because it just makes it much easier to install. All you have to do is visually match the images and butt one panel up against the other panel. You can see on our wall that we actually had an outlet right in the middle of the wall that was causing us to not be able to flatten out our panel right away. So I'll show you how to properly go around an electrical outlet so that you can finish off the panel. So when you come to an outlet, first make sure your electrical is shut off at the breaker so it's safe to work around. And the next thing you want to do is put a little X right into your mural wallpaper at the approximate location of the outlet. We just use an X-Acto knife for this, and the X just lets your outlet pop through and see where your exact cuts need to be. So once you have the excess cut and the outlet coming through, you can easily use the X-Acto knife to cut along the holes in the drywall. When you're making these cuts, they don't ever have to be perfect because you're always going to have a cover plate on top of your outlet that covers up the cuts that you did. You just want to make sure that you have access to the screws so that you can put the cover plate on properly. Once you have gone around your outlet successfully, you can start using a squeegee to push out any excess wallpaper paste. We usually push it out towards the panels we haven't done yet because we're going to need paste there anyways. And then you can use a smooth, soft brush to brush over the panel and make sure that it's nice and flat. After your panel's been hung up, you should check the seams and you can gently wipe away any excess paste that's come through with a dry cloth or just a slightly dampened cloth. If you have any excess paper at the top or the bottom of your mural, you can also use an X-Acto knife to cut off those excess pieces now. Continue hanging all of your panels until the wall mural is done. When you're done, carefully clean any adhesive or residue just with some warm water and a sponge. When you get to your final panel, you may find that you have a little bit of extra paneling to work with. You can cut it in the corner the same way that we cut our first panel in the corner. Or if, like ours, your wall ends in an open wall, you can use an X-Acto knife and very slowly and carefully cut the edge of the panel until it's cut off nicely. Most of you probably won't have a strange opening in the middle of your wall, but we did, and I'll show you what we did with that. We made a cupboard door front for our space so that we could still use it for storage, and then continued to wallpaper around it. And when we were done, we carefully cut around the door opening and took the cupboard door down so that we could really carefully remove the outer bits of wallpaper from the door. In the end, we just had a really faint line for the cupboard door and totally hidden storage. After we installed our crown molding and our baseboards, this is what the beautiful wall mural looked like. I love having this big watercolor piece on my wall. It's like having a big piece of artwork on the wall, and I was so excited to see what it was going to look like with the furniture that I'd picked out for the space. I went with a less is more approach to putting furniture in front of this mural because I wanted it to shine as well as possible. I would say that the less furniture you can put in front of a piece like this, the better. I did need to put a desk in my office, so what I went with was the most minimalist white desk that I could find that still had a big surface to work on. Here's what the wall mural looks like in our completed office, and I love it so much. This is actually a sit-stand desk from IKEA, and when it is in the standing position, you can see so much of the mural, and I just love the view it gives in the office. I hope you liked this tutorial. If you have any more questions about putting up a wall mural, please let us know in the comments below. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit that bell so that you can be notified of more great renovation and DIY videos.